Well, first of all, my name is Alvin Stoney, okay? And my dad's life as an African American Groom of horse racing, he was known on the racetrack. His nickname was Stoney. His name was Walker Stoney. He was from Lexington, Kentucky. He got permission from his mom and dad at the age of 13 to travel all the way to Canada and work with Guy Bedwell, who had Sir Barton, who was one of the first Triple Crown winners. One of the owners that Guy Bedwell was working for had a farm in Savage, Maryland, and that's where he wanted his horses at. That's the way he met Alice Prater, which happened to be my mother. Out of that marriage came 9 children. I'm the 9th and last one. My sister that's here today, she's 93, and I have a brother that's 83 that lives in Rehoboth Beach. It's still the 3 of us. But from the age of 9, when I first went on the racetrack with my father, I never forgot that. And which was at Pimlico, and at that time, he was working for a trainer by the name of J. Bose Bond. Bose Bond had a brother named Bernie Bond. But as time went on, I became very interested in horses, loved them to death. My father's brother, whose name was George, he was a jockey. In Kentucky, he rode in Kentucky, Louisiana, Florida. And eventually, he wasn't able to ride along because he had a very bad spill. Horse dropped dead on him. But I've always told my father that one day that I would write a book about his life, since I got too big to be a jockey. And also, I was blessed to go to Vietnam and get back in one piece, which a lot of guys that I knew didn't make it back. And some that did make it back there, they're not really together. But the bottom line is that I always wanted to write a book on my father's life as a groom. Now, as we all know, when you hear about horse racing, you always hear about the horse, the jockey, the trainer, and the owner. But you never hear about the backstretch helper, which is the groom. The groom is a very, very, very hard job. There's nothing easy about it, okay, as some of you may know, where you're talking about grooms that get up early in the morning, maybe as early as maybe 4 or 5 o'clock. Clean the horse's stall out, get them ready for a morning workout. On top of that, if the horse is entered in a race in the afternoon at the track, the groom got to walk the horse from the stable over to the racetrack and the paddock. More than anything else, I always hope that the horse wins more than anything else. Okay, that's not always the case, but this is part of the groom's life. Not only getting up early in the morning, cleaning the horse's stall out and all that, washing the horse's bandages, the saddle towels, and many other details that requires the groom work to be done. Now, one of the greatest things that happened to me while I was going on the racetrack with my father, I couldn't wait every Saturday to come when I was in school to go. I learned how to walk horses more than anything else. My father told me if I was going to do this, you cannot be afraid of horses. Okay? Got to the point where I fell in love with horses so much that when horses would go in the stall to go to sleep, I went in there and slept beside them. Well, when my father saw me doing that, he almost killed me. He said, boy, you know better don't ever do that again. I didn't, but I did again. But the bottom line is that the life of a groom, in this case, I'm talking about my family as well as my father, where he was able to raise children, all 9 of us, on the back of the work he was doing. My mother was a housewife. She did not work. Somehow, some kind of way, they made ends meet, even during the Depression, before I even came here. And more than anything else, we learned to love and help one another. And as I got older, I always became interested in current events in history. And I always, once again, say I would write a book. Well, the book, going through the book, it tells the life of our family, how we got started, how my father took care of us during the racing seasons, whether there was from the first year to the end of the year, and how he went through also some of the health situations. But once again, my father had the reputation of not only being one of the best grooms, okay, on the racetrack, he had what they call the touch, which a lot of trainers love a groom who had the touch. And in some cases, okay, you had stables that hired African-American grooms, and some stables did not. Some of those stables that did not hire African-American grooms, the trainer would go behind the owner's back and get my father to do certain detailed work for him. One of the things, okay, you do not see now in horse racing was a horse mane braided and the tail braided. That was one of my father's specialties, okay, that he learned when he was a young man. And more than anything else, he had a good relationship with Frank Bonsom, Henry Clark, Alfred Vanderbilt. He worked on the Alfred Vanderbilt farm. I had the opportunity to meet Alfred Vanderbilt when I was a little boy. He gave me a hug, but didn't rub off to any money. But the bottom line, I did have the opportunity to meet him. And my father worked for a trainer by the name of Elmer Truman. And he raced around Bel Air, Timonium, Upper Marlboro, Bowie, Cumberland. Most of those racetracks are gone now. A lot of people never even heard of them, okay? Even Havre de Grace, okay? But again, the bottom line, by my father having the reputation that he did have as far as being one of the best grooms on the racetrack, he was always sought after. Okay? Coming and going. And one of the things to this day, okay, that I've never gotten over was that I thought I was going to have a chance to go to Saratoga. And what happened was, at the time, my father was working for Henry Clark, and he shipped horses from Delaware up to Saratoga. But I was getting close to school, and I couldn't go. I cried like a baby. I never got over that. So maybe one of these days I'll still get to Saratoga. But more than anything else, my father had a great relationship with jockeys too as well, like Nick Shuck, Eldon Nelson, Tommy Lee, Joe Camone, Willie Shoemaker, Eddie Alcaro, just to name a few. And as I said before, I know, okay, that even when my father got laid off from a job, he had 10 jobs offered to him before he got out the gate. Okay? That's how good he was. There's so much that I have covered in the book. I can't even speak of all of it, but anyone that has questions that want to ask me, I'm ready for you.
I noticed that I forget what page it was, but it was on one of the win pictures early in the book. They had the groom's name on. They had his name on the win photo, which they don't do anymore. But that must have been at a time when grooms were really appreciated more. I had not seen that before.
That particular picture you're talking about, that was the Maryland Free Stakes down at Bowie.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm trying to think of the owner name. His son owns it now. The horse that won the race was Crown King. And the writing on that picture was done at a request that my father had asked the person with the photo. Okay. Stuart Janney, the Janneys, and the Janneys are still racing today. Okay. The last time that I saw Stuart Janney Jr., we were little kids, and he probably doesn't remember, but he has a copy of this book.
He lives right down the hill.
Yeah.
So just give us, I'm sorry, I don't want to dominate, but just so give us what would your Father's Day be like? You have to get to the barn at 3 or 4 in the morning. Take us through what one of his days, even a race day or non-race day would be like.
Well, on a non-race day, okay, even though my father did not have a license to drive, sometimes he would get a ride from someone else that had the same hours that he had. Other than that, he had to depend on public transportation, okay? And a lot of times his day would start like 5 o'clock in the morning. He would go in, and when he got to work, he may have had maybe 3 horses that he had to take care of, okay? And as I said before, he would have to clean the stall out and put new straw and new hay in. Or if it was a horse that had to get prepared that morning for a workout, he had to do that as well. And then once again, as I was saying, also, if they had a horse injured, one of his horses injured, okay, in the afternoon for the races, you had to put the bridle on the horse, the bandages, and walk him over to the track. And as I said before, you would always hope that they would win to make that journey a comfortable one, as well as back.
It was a long day.
Yes, very long day.
Evening, it would feed, so you're getting there at 5, and you're probably not going home till after 5 in the afternoon.
Yeah, definitely after 5. Now, my mother's brother, wife, her name was Beatrice Prater. She opened her home out on Peyton Avenue off of Park Heights, right behind Pimlico. Opened up a kitchen there. And she used to feed everyone. Black and white, white and black, Latino, whatever. They all came and they ate well, 7 days a week, okay? And they really enjoyed themselves.
Yeah, the track kitchens are always a place for a gathering place on the back.
Well, it is, but she had a larger crowd because the food was better.
That's even better.
Yeah. But yes, you have a question.
Did any of the owners or trainers ever give the grooms pieces of pie if they want to race?
Yes, it's called steak-em. That's what they would do. The majority of the trainers and the owners did stake my dad, and some didn't. I'm glad you brought that up.
What?
I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah.
They should do that now, because they have salaries, I don't know what it was.
Yeah.
Salaries are not.
Right.
So they are supposed to give really all of the farm help, because you've got a groom and a hot walker. You want to explain the different jobs, because hot walkers.
Well, for hot walker, that's what I was when I worked on the track. I was a hot walker, and you would have to be there when the horse came back from workout, or if he ran in the afternoon. And if it was in especially like in the spring or summertime, the horse would get a bath. Okay, and you have to walk that horse for a good 25 to maybe over 30 minutes for him to drive. Okay, before you would put him back in the stall. And sometimes I would help my father out by putting the feed tub in the stall with the horse and putting the oats. Sometimes the horse will have oats with carrots in it. Also, as I said before, the job may have involved as well as doing laundry, for the horses, saddle towels, bandages, this type of thing. And then you also had to know how to sometimes use the leather taxel to clean the bridles and the saddles. Yes.
What did you wash the horse with? Soap and water, or special?
Yeah, it was the soap. It was the soap and water, and the water would usually be lukewarm. Yeah, for the horse with the sponge. You wash it from head to toe. Then you take the scraper to scrape the excess water off. Okay, then put the blanket on and come back to the barn. That's where I would come in and walk him for 25 to 30 minutes until he cooled up, he would dry.
So you had to wash his tail and everything?
Everything.
Horses get dirt where you didn't.
Yes, you have a question in the back there?
What your father did was very unusual for black men at that time. And he was in a closed society, and my father did some in that community. And that community was closed and kind of protected him from what was outside. How did you deal with coming out from that closed community to get along with his peers?
Well, first of all, my father, he was unique in his style. My father was a dresser, okay? When he would get off from work, okay, nobody wouldn't even think that he worked on a racetrack around horses all day long. But my father was very stylish. That's the way that he kept himself. Whatever salary or money that he needed to give to my mother, he had it for her to help the family. And he also was very, very much in touch with a lot of people who worked on the racetrack, whether they were black or white. That was my dad.
How did he get into this job to begin with?
Well, as I said earlier,
How old was he when he started?
Well, as I said earlier, he got permission. My father was from Lexington, Kentucky. He got permission from his mom and dad at the age of 13 to travel all the way to Canada with Guy Belwell. Okay.
How did he come in contact with that racing community to begin with?
Well, you know, Kentucky is known for horse racing.
Right.
Okay, and most of the jobs that black folk in Kentucky had was working on horse farms, was working on racetrack. And he got started through one of his oldest brothers, which was named Henry. But as I said before, he fell in love with it, and he got permission from his mother and father to go all the way to Canada. And that's where he learned his trade as years went on, and happened also more than anything else to be one of the first horses to win the Triple Crown.
How long was his career? How long did he work?
Oh, my dad worked up until he was about, I want to say, a good 72 or 73 years old. He was working even when his back and his legs couldn't hold up. He would go. As a matter of fact, he would use some of the horse's liniment on his body and bandages, okay, so he could get to work and back.
Big old.
Yes, big oil. Right.
That's the Groom. That's what brought us all up and had us for. Big old.
She knows she's 93. It's my sister.
No, I exercise. That didn't stop me. I did it every kind of exercise, Tai Chi, all it, you name it, dance, birdies, and did it.
It's in your blood. It's in your blood. It's in your blood. You know where that came from? It came from Stoney.
Yes, I know it did, and it was in my blood. And go up on the road, you couldn't keep me still. I'm still moving.
All right.
They can't even find a leg for me. I was looking at the doctor the other day, and he said, no. There ain't nothing we can do. I said, it's nothing they can do. They can't put that stuff in there. That ain't gonna work. It's just a bunch of crap. But I'm moving.
Yes, you are.
And here, see, and I know everybody's history in this family, and I don't have none them phones. It's in my brain. When I go to school, I know everybody.
W4.
That's right. I can go down to 3 years old, and let me tell you this, I gotta say it. Your grandfather said Denham would rule the world, and during his ruling the world, ruling everything, coaching, everything. He said, I will be long gone, but Denham is gonna rule. All these coaches and everything.
How many states and countries have you visited doing racetrack?
Oh, I can't even name them, but off the top of my head, Canada, New England, New York, Detroit, Florida, Louisiana, Arkansas. He basically stayed towards the East Coast because he had to raise 9 children.
Stay close to the family.
And my mother, Alice, she didn't play that.
Oh.
She didn't want to be that far out where she could not get his hand.
What year did he begin his career?
My father?
Yeah.
I'm talking about, somewhere, I'm going to say about maybe 1913. Around about maybe 1913. And I could be jumping the gun. I could be jumping the gun because my father was born in 1906. But at the age of 13, okay, that's when he started on the racetrack.
Tough times.
Yeah. Yes.
Did he work with any horses that were like really scary to work with?
Yes, 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 he did. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. But by him having, as I said earlier, by him having the touch, he knew how to work with horses like that to keep them calmed down to the point where the horses that he was taking care of, they basically knew who he was. Where, like, even though it could be a horse that he asked me to walk around the barn, I would have a hard time with him. And it's no fun when a horse step on your foot.
Did he have any favorite jockeys that he liked to work with?
I would say most of the favorite jockeys that my father liked working with was Nick Shuck.
Okay.
Nicholas Shuck. Yes. Okay, you have a question?
Did he have a favorite horse? And she took the second part of my question.
I'm going to say one of the favorite horses that he loved, okay, was a horse named Mungo. Mungo was owned by Miss Marion DuPont Scott, who was married to Randall Scott, the movie star. And my father fell in love with Mungo. And he was one of the horses that he would talk about a lot out of all the horses that he groomed. And I said Mungo had to be one of the best favorites.
So was your dog.
And I like Mungo so much, I named my dog Mungo. I sure did. Yeah. Yeah.
Did the jockeys often travel together, or did they have their?
No, jockeys, they got their own colony, the way that they handle their business. So all together is separate.
And the groomsmen come out together in the jockey.
Yes, you could say that, yes.
They had different people that gallop the horses in the morning, correct? So
Yeah, they were called exercise boys.
were most of them African American?
Some of them were, yes. As a matter of fact, as I said earlier, okay, when you hear about the Triple Crown every year, you never hear about the grooms. All you hear about is the jockey, the horse, the trainer, and the owner. The first Kentucky Derby was in 1875, which was trained by a black man, ridden by a black jockey, and owned by a black man. 1875. Okay. W Derby. First Kentucky Derby. You need some help? Is there any other questions?
Does the groomer travel with the horse?
Does the what?
The groomer travel? with
Yes.
the So if he's in Maryland racing and then they go to Jersey, then
The groom goes with the horse on the van, okay? As a matter of fact, I had the experience with my father to do that as well. And it's a very tedious transportation, but it's done. But he never had the opportunity to fly on an airplane with a horse. The horse was traveling from Maryland all the way up to California.
so who hires the groomer, the owner?
Usually the trainer, not unless you have an owner and trainer that got their combination together, but it's usually the trainer that hires the groom.
When traveling, where would he stay?
And most of the barns had rooms for the grooms, the exercise boys, and whoever else. Sometimes, I think maybe to this day, they may have rooms that are separate away from the barns now. Yes.
I understand sometimes he got that's on the grumpy horse. Was he ever injured?
Oh, yes. Yes, he was. Yes, it was. But I think one of the worst injuries that my father had, he was kicked in the ribs. And that's when a lot of times when a horse cow kicks, you get it both ways. Yes.
You still have people, family members still working with horses in the Epping or?
I'm happy about family members working with horses.
You don't have family members working with horses.
If I do, I'm not aware of. The horse that won the Kentucky Derby called Reisterstown last year. Maybe some of you may have saw it. It was an African American groom that took care of that horse. Okay. That groom, his cousins know my family, the Stones, from out of Ohio, because we still have Stone family and the horse racing, but they're mainly into the trotting horses. And as a matter of fact, in the book, my mother's cousin, his name was last name was Manaway. He was into trotting horses. He raced at Hamiltonian, I think Rosecroft, and maybe a few other tracks.
Dover and Harrington.
Dover, yeah,
Dover Harrington, because he lived in Lewis.
Okay.
Lewis.
Yeah, he lived in Lewis, Dover. Okay.
I think it's a picture of the Ocean Downs too. So
Yes.
the state tracks in Maryland still are Ocean Downs and Rosecroft, so there is still horse industry.
Right. How's my time?
You're good. So I don't know if can you tell us a little bit about the great artwork in the book?
Yes, the artist that did the work in the book. Why his name not coming to me, I don't know. If he was here, he would smack me, because Raw Milliman is his name. Some of y'all heard of Raw. Now, how this happened with Raw? This is one of my nephews. His daughter married Raw's son. They have 2 kids. One day, my nephew had Raw over with his daughter and everything, was having dinner. And I believe Ronnie saw, he had a picture of the grandfather, and Raw got excited. He didn't know it until he saw the picture. The murals that y'all have seen on Pimlico, those color murals in the grandstand, that's Raw's work. Okay? And once Raw found out that I was writing a book on my father's life, he offered to do the illustrations in the book. Raw passed away, I guess, about maybe 2 years ago. But the family was still in touch with one another. But he just had a fit when he knew I was doing this book.
And they're trying to save those murals.
Yes, they're trying to save those murals. I'm quite sure that
they're really trying to save those because he is so important.
yeah. And he has artwork all over the country as well as over in Europe.
Are you writing any more books? What's next?
I don't know. One of these days something will pop up in my head.
Yeah, you're a great storyteller too, so that's good.
Thank you.
Put it down in writing and get carry it on to the next generation.
Yes.
I don't want people to forget. That's why a book like this is so important.
Yes. And also the fact I was, like I said before, I was really blessed to get back in Vietnam in one piece. So I was there for 14 months. Wasn't no fun, but God bless, I made it back.
I have one question. Why did he feel it was necessary to go to Canada? When he was first starting out.
Well, the job that he had when he came home and asked his mother and father for permission to work as a groom, I don't think he had any idea that this man was going to Canada. And he came back, and that's when he got the permission from his mom and dad to get the job with them. As a matter of fact, my grandfather, who I never saw, he helped lay down the foundations for Keeneland Racetrack and Grandstand in Lexington, Kentucky. His name was Samuel Stone.
Is he in your book at all?
Yes, he is.
Okay.
How many in that
He would probably smack me if I didn't put his name in there.
How many in your father's generation? How many siblings? I'm sorry, maybe you said that. But I didn't.
Oh, my father had his brother George Stone. He was a jockey. He had Henry Stone, Harry Stone, and Samuel, who was named after his father. All the brothers, including my father, was all in the horse racing. Any more questions? Thank y'all. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Okay? And I hope we all see each other again. God bless and everyone be safe.
Well, stay around, please. We have some cookies and refreshments and Alvin and family.
And if anyone is interested in buying one of my books, I'll be happy more than autograph it for you.
And look around the library.
Yeah.